Hey, everybody. So good to be back. We have a really good show for you today, but I just want to say something. Thank you for loving us and keep coming back to see what we're up to. We really appreciate it. I'm Sandy Gulliver, co-host of Just Us, and along with me are my fellow co-hosts, Daryl and Estelle. Say hi, Daryl.
Hi, Daryl.
Sandra Baskin.
Howdy, everybody.
And today we have a very good episode about a question that is universally asked across the internet whenever any acting business is discussed, and that is, what does a good headshot look like? Where can I get a good headshot? And we have two headshot photographers with us today, Bari Baskin, say hi, and Vela.
Hi.
Now, I'm going to start off by saying Bari is Sandra Baskin's daughter. And that just goes to show you that Sandra's talents did not just stop with her. She passed that down to her daughter, who then passed it down to her daughter and son. You've seen Maggie. She was the Junior Ninja Warrior a couple episodes ago. This is Bari is Maggie's mother. So Nancy, I've known Nancy a long time. She did my hair and makeup on the very first headshot. Oh, I don't know how many, 10 years ago, maybe.
At least, yeah.
I had my headshots done at Zoe McKenzie's, and Nancy was the hair and makeup person. So
cool.
I loved her from that moment. And she said, but I'll never forget. She finished it, and then both Sandy, who was the photographer, and Nancy said, well, aren't you going to say anything about your makeup? And I said, well, I don't have my glasses on, so I just assuming it looks good. I guess other people will go, oh my God. And I didn't, but I never forgot. Sorry, Nancy. It was a good
I remember you saying that, actually.
Great. Well, okay, so let's talk about headshots. Either one of you can go first or second or whatever. You can kind of play that by ear, but what differentiates a headshot from another photo, like a high school graduation photo or a business person's that they might use on their business card or flyer? Yeah.
The headshots are really focused on the eyes of an actor, whereas a regular portrait, like a business portrait, you're going to have a lot of dead space above on the photo. And then they're kind of centered in the center. Whereas with the headshot, you're going to have usually the top of the head cropped off. So the focus has to go to the eyes of the actor. Instead, your eye is naturally going to go around the picture and then into the eyes. Whereas with headshots, you really want to crop it really fairly tight at the top of the head, so that the casting agent or whoever is forced to look at the actor's eyes. And then my main thing with actors is to make sure that they've got really something really happening in the eyes, so that when the casting agent is going through, only like 1 second per picture, that it's something that catches their attention right away. That the eyes have to be forecasting something. It can't be just a mad picture without an emotion. It can't be a happy picture without an emotion. The emotion has to be coming out of the eyes.
Sandra, you
100%.
This would be why Bari will say to me, I don't see that smile in your eyes, Mom.
I gotta be smizing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a tiny, tiny difference. And I often ask people where your smile comes from. Every once in a while, somebody gets it right and they say your eyes. People guess your mouth. Sometimes people say your brain. And I was like, well, yeah, that's good. But you actually have to be thinking about something. And you can take a breath and get a real great smile. And then there's a moment where it goes away and I'll say, stop, take a breath. I need you to think about something that legitimately makes you happy, not, oh goodness, I'm getting my picture taken. Because that is exactly what will come through.
And then it looks like the high school portrait.
Exactly. And in addition, I can see all of your headshots on the wall behind you, Nancy. And one of the consistent things, not that, most of them have a solid background, not that it has to be just a solid background. I can see the gentleman, I can't point at the screen and have you know what I'm looking at, but there's a gentleman up to your left. Looks like he might be in an alley. The light blue shirt. Yeah.
Right.
But I always stay away from green in headshots. I never ever put people in fields because I don't want it to look like it's a family portrait. It should look different than a senior photo. And a headshot most definitely is not just a nice picture of you. It has an intention. I had a client who often gets booked for villains, criminals. And so that was the intention behind his headshot. That was what was missing from his portfolio at the moment. He knew what kind of characters he gets hired for. So we needed to show that within that image that that we were capturing together.
Right. That's why you were commenting about the solid backgrounds and the not solid. That's why sometimes I will do a solid background, but for certain characters, I will put them in a setting. Even if only a small portion of it is showing, it still will give a little bit of that feel, that little bit of an edge or softness or edge or whatever it is that I'm looking for. So for that reason, I will use some dimensional backgrounds, and then sometimes it's a solid background.
I just never do green. That's my own green, like in a field, that kind of thing is what I mean. Yes.
And I've had other actors say no blue, like the blue screen. Some photographers refuse to do that too, because then it looks like that's what it is.
Right.
So do you tell them also don't bring any green clothing?
No, I just don't have plans to go into a field or have trees behind them. There aren't really any backgrounds that I use that have green. Again, like I said, I just don't want it to look like a family portrait.
Oh yeah.
Or a senior portrait or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So,
okay, another question. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
No, you go ahead.
Go ahead. Your preference is to have a vertical as opposed to a horizontal shot, right?
Not with every photographer. I do know some photographers that will throw horizontals in, and occasionally I will, but normally it's a vertical. But I have heard comments before from casting agents that they don't like having to like flip things to be able to see it, especially if they are using a physical headshot, a hard copy, and not just on a computer screen. But yeah, it kind of disorients them.
Yeah, and I stick with vertical 95% of the time. If I get a shot where I just happen to turn my camera and it's fun, I might include it in the options for my clients to choose from, but vertical for sure.
Yeah. I have a question. A couple of my headshots over the years from different people, they have me over to the side and then a whole bunch of empty space and that would be a horizontal picture. Was that like a trend? Is it no longer in style, or what's the deal?
Was it horizontal or vertical, you said?
It was horizontal, and then you had all this space of just wall or whatever it was, and then me over here.
I think for a while that was the style in New York. I don't know that it is right now. And occasionally, even with my verticals, I will put people to the side just because, to me, I think that sometimes it will catch the casting agent's eye if they're going through a bunch of ones that are centered, to all of a sudden have somebody a little bit off space where there's a little bit more artistic tension in the photo.
Yeah.
To me, I think that will catch their attention sometimes.
It's a little bit more interesting of a shot to not have everything centered. And in photography, we talk about the rule of thirds. Within the space that we have, you can't really get somebody over on just that 1/3, but it's sort of the difference. It's a little bit like Nancy said, a little more artistic, a little more engaging.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a cyclical kind of thing of where the agents will want a particular style, and then 2 years later they want another kind of style? And does it change at all, or does it remain the same?
I think the cycles are a little bit further out than so much like a 2-year. It can go more like 5-year things where they're kind of a little bit more style change. And you can kind of see the slow transition in Chicago, at least a slower transition of, this style to this style. So and then it's, when they see somebody new and they see a new work, then it's more exciting for the casting agents too, I think. So
once upon a time, all headshots used to be black and white. And that went away. That went away a while ago. Would make our lives easier if they were still black and white.
I love black and white.
When I had headshots done a long time ago, mine were black and white. So, and then some casting agents are really picky about specific photographers that they want you to work with, and other casting agents don't really care. Yeah. So it just sort of depends on who the actor's working with.
And then there's, you know, like you were saying, or even like agents, they have specific people they want somebody to work with, or some of them like having more dimension in the background. Other ones like having the really solid background. Other ones like have to see both ears and they don't want someone turned too far away. And it's, you know.
You're talking about.
So I try to give a little bit of shoot.
They
What?
have to see both ears. Why?
Some do, yeah.
Why?
Because then they can see exactly what the person looks like. They feel like if you get too far away, I don't let anybody get too far away from my camera, because then you can't tell what they look like.
Right.
You know, so they can only go so far away from the camera so you can still see what their face structure is like.
And if you have long hair that cover your ears, that's a little tough to do.
Yeah, well, then you have to, that's when you watch like the nose over the eye. You have to make sure that you can see both eyes. So
one of the other important, I'm sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you saying?
No, go ahead. No, I was just saying that that's one way you can tell that they're getting too far away is the bridge of the nose starts getting over that eye. You still need to be able to see that.
Yeah,
for sure. Another really important thing for headshots is that you want them to look like you. When you walk into the casting room, that casting agent needs to not go, oh, that's you. Right. One of the best pieces of feedback that I ever got from a client was that their agent said, oh, finally, this is a headshot that actually looks like you. That doesn't mean that you can't have hair and makeup done, but you need to look like yourself when you walk into a room or when you submit a tape, so they know who you are, what you look like, what they're getting.
Right. Well, that's another thing. I do hair and makeup for my photo shoots because that's how I started out as a hair and makeup artist. I've been doing that over 35 years. So when people say, oh, do what you want. And I'm like, no, it has to look like you. I can make you look any way I want you to look. But that's going to really make the casting agents mad if you walk in and you don't look like you. Even with retouching, there's only so much retouching that I usually do. Occasionally someone will be like, no, you have to take out the bags. Well, I'll take them out, but the casting agent is going to see you when you walk in. It's not going to look like you. So that's a huge thing. I agree with you, Barry, that, with hair and makeup, it has to look like you and the photo has to look like you.
I had one headshot done a while back, and when I got done, they had photoshopped out every single wrinkle. My neck, everything. It was just flat. And I said, no, you put all that stuff back in there. I'm not trying to look young. I'm trying to look like me.
Like yourself, yeah. Well, and one of the rules in photography, Nancy, you may or may not agree with me on this, is if it's something on your face that's temporary, like you scratched your nose or you have a blemish, we'll get rid of it. And I generally do that without asking. But if you have a scar or a line or something like that, I never touch that if it's a permanent part of your face, unless you ask me to, because that's a part of who you are. That's your story. That's your character. That's all a part of your face. And we don't want to assume that you don't like it or want it to go away.
And I think that adds something to the shot. When they have something going on with their face, I really think that adds something interesting.
Agreed.
4,000 years ago, when I had my senior high school photo taken, I have a real beauty mark here that's really mine, and that's it, And this is back in the days when they did the drape over your, oh my gosh. And the photographer dug out the beauty mark. And when we got the proofs, my mom went crazy. What in the world have you done here? Oh, no. And the funny thing is, ladies, you'll understand this. You could actually see where he dug it out in the proof. There was actually a mark there. That's how much things have changed over the last 4,000 years.
For sure.
We fixed it.
But the senior portraits of my day were, the plastic flowers.
Well, what's wrong with plastic flowers?
Yeah, those look real. These were like, you can tell they were plastic.
Back in that day when we had ours done, the drape, oh my gosh, we were so touchy about how that man touched and pulled the drape down here, pulled it down there. And oh my gosh, think of the comparison.
Yeah.
So Sandra, you have a copy of your headshot handy, right?
I do. Yeah. Shall we see it?
Yes.
I actually have two.
Okay.
Here we go.
Pretty.
That's an older one.
Yeah, okay.
A little older. Yeah.
That's only for 5 minutes.
See, that's interesting when you could see your mole.
Let's see.
Yes, agreed, Nancy.
Yeah.
It's a little newer.
Do you have one with your other?
Different look? No, I was just going to bring that up. We're talking about printing and walking into casting rooms. We're not doing any of that right now.
True.
All of my other stuff is online. So I have one of the silver wig that I'd love to print, but I'll wait.
The episode where we were all wearing wigs, she has a headshot with that gray wig she was wearing. It's really nice. This is mine that Nancy did. And
yeah, love this one.
Yeah. Now this headshot got rave reviews at a casting agent workshop I went to once.
Oh,
and one of the things I liked about it is because it looks like me.
Yeah.
The only complaint they had was the quality of the paper I have it printed on, and that's only because I went cheap with Alpha Graphics rather than one of the standard headshot printers, because you hardly ever hand a headshot in at a casting.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
Is I tell my clients.
Yeah, student films, indie films, you'll need her.
Daryl.
Oh, Daryl, let me see. Now, who did this one?
Zoe.
Oh, Zoe McKenzie did Daryl's picture, and she's the one that Nancy used to work for.
Nice.
I still do it
Nancy,
occasionally.
you do her makeup then?
That's what I was looking at that. Did I do it, Daryl? How long ago did you get that shot?
This is about 3 years
okay.
ago.
So that wasn't me. Okay.
No.
That's their newest makeup artist. I'm at Zoe, I just do fill-in for Zoe now. And when she shoots in Wisconsin, I do makeup for her up there when she's shooting at her place up there. So I still do freelance hair and makeup. But I wanted to say, Sandy, that's one of the things that I tell my clients is, it used to be that you would order like 50 or 100 hard copies of your headshots. And now I tell them, get the smallest amount. If it's 25 or under, do only the smallest amount. You always have to bring that with you to your auditions, because you never know who might actually take it. But 9 times out of 10, or almost 10 times out of 10, they don't ask for the hard copy anymore. They have everything online, but you still have to have that hard copy when you go in.
And when we were still doing auditions in person, my son's an actor. And so if he would get called in, they would never take his headshot on the first go around, but if he got called back, they would take it. We always had it with us, of course, but oftentimes not the first go around. And yes, most of it's submitting online now. So
Bari, where are you located, and do you travel around Chicagoland?
I do. Yeah. I do not have a studio. I work out of my house. Considering getting one now, but that's kind of on hold at the moment. I do a lot outside. I have a space in downtown Aurora that I like to shoot at, that they let me use. And a couple other places that I can rent out if I need to. But I'm out in the Western burbs, but absolutely I've gone into Chicago and other suburbs to shoot for sure.
And Nancy?
I shoot out of a space that I rent the garage out of, but nobody's ever usually here, so I get the whole office space too. Nice. It's 7515 West Belmont. So it's in Chicago, but it's really close to Elmwood Park. But I also do travel to people. I have gone to people's homes to shoot there. There's a lot of locations around the city and suburbs that I like to go for location shooting.
Good place.
For different textures and things like that. And then I can always bring backdrops with me to shoot there. But normally I'm out of the agency space here.
Sandy, you will put on, and I will on Instagram and on Facebook, we'll get your websites and your contact information out there. So
come see us on Facebook, and you should follow us there too, because that's where we put all the informational stuff, aside from notifying you when the next episode is ready. This one will be ready around noon on Wednesday. And it's called Just Us with Sandra Baskin, Daryl Anasfeld, and Sandy Gulliver.
You telling our audience that? These two girls follow us already, don't they?
Well, no, I'm telling the audience.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They better be. Yeah, I know they are.
You are following us, actually.
Yes, I am following you.
All right, then. I think we have just about covered it, and our 20 minutes is up. So until next time, see ya.
Adios.
Doodles.
Thanks, ladies.
Bye-bye.